Yet another vlog. What's going on, everyone? I figured I'd just do like another one, just trying to stay consistent. I was just trying to think of different ideas for videos. Yeah, here's another one I came up with. I was just looking into it, and then from out of all my videos on my channel, I realized that um, I don't think I ever talked about my very first video games I ever played. Back then when I got into gaming, I think the only thing I mentioned was the fact that from one of my older videos from when I was getting started. I started on the Sega Genesis. That's the only thing I mentioned. That was my very first actual gaming system that I was playing on. Hardcore into it when I really fell in love with video games. But I don't think I really shared the first video games I ever played that really got me into gaming and when I got started and when I discovered video games and I eventually became addicted to it. But I really got into it, fell in love with it, and it just became a part of my everyday hobby, something I love spending my time doing, and basically how I spend most of my days nowadays, just playing games and gaming with you guys, friends that I know in real life, and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to share this, with you guys, and I figured it'd be pretty cool for you guys to talk about. Maybe you guys could talk about some of the games that you played that you first started playing, your very first video games, your very first game console that got you into video games. What was the very first game that you played and all that? So I figured this would be like a great video to a gaming vlog, yet another gaming vlog for you guys to check out and watch and enjoy. But I started out on before the Sega Genesis. I used to have a Game Boy Color, and maybe some of you guys heard of that. It's a handheld console, portable gaming system from the old days. I don't have it anymore because it was stolen it was stolen and it was taken away, but by someone that was my friend, but I guess he stole it. I forgot what the whole situation was. He always would play it, and I always let him play it. Back in elementary school, I had the green one. I had the lime green Game Boy Color, and I had Pokemon Blue, and I also had Super Mario Bros. And I still have this game. I kept this for years. So let me get close to it on the webcam, so you guys could probably recognize this. The Super Mario Bros. This was one of my very first games alongside a Pokemon Blue version. I wasn't very good at video games at all. I started out on the Game Boy Color, and I sucked. I was bad. I didn't even know what I was doing. I I was just so young and just thinking about it. I just remember naming my character. My Pokemon. Whenever you start on a Pokemon game, and here's another one that I held on to, Pokemon Gold. But this was later on. A little bit after Pokemon Blue version came out. I played Pokemon Gold. Um, Pokemon Gold and Silver version came out later on. As time went on. But I named my character A. Just all I filled the whole character limit space with just A's because I didn't even know what to call them. I was little. I didn't know anything. I was just a young gamer. Uh, but I wasn't very good at it. I sucked at games. I was learning how to play with it, but play video games. I was starting to understand what the Pokemon games were about. Leveling up your Pokemon just so you could advance. And I just remember from back in the old days on Pokemon Blue on my Game Boy Color, I was stuck on Brock. I could never beat Brock. He was the very first gym leader on Pokemon Blue version, and as my starter, you could in Pokemon games you could pick up to from you could pick one of three starters. You could pick Squirtle, Bulbasaur, or Charmander. Squirtle being the water type Pokemon, Bulbasaur being the grass type, and then Charmander being the fire type. So for my playthrough when I was starting it, I picked Charmander because I liked Charmander from the Pokemon show, and he was my favorite starter out of all three of them. So I ended up picking Charmander, and I got stuck on Brock, who was the gym leader. He was the Rock gym leader, and Rock types are weak against grass and water types. So I ended up picking the Fire type, and the Fire type Pokemon barely does any damage to Rock type Pokemon, and Brock was the Rock type gym leader, and I never could beat him. All I had was a Charmander, and I think I had like a Pidgey, but it was, low level, and I just could never beat Brock. I just kept trying. I never gave up. I just kept losing to him. It would say, so and so blacked out. When you lose and run out of Pokemon, it'll say that your trainer blacked out, and you end up rushing to the Pokemon Center, to restore your Pokemon. So it got to the point where I just kept trying. My Charmander eventually evolved to Charmeleon, and then I just destroyed Brock. I destroyed Brock and got my first badge finally as I got better at the game and started leveling up. But I was getting experience because I kept taking down his Geodude. But Onyx he only had two Pokemon. Onyx was his strongest and his last Pokemon. I always just kept battling him and getting the experience off of Geodude as I continued to level up, and I eventually, I got a Charmeleon, and then I was able to win the my very first badge, and I went on to beat the game finally. But then I began to understand, the Pokemon games. I got better at the game, and then aside of Pokemon, I was also playing Super Mario Bros. That I also just recently showed. I sucked at Mario Bros. I didn't even know what I was doing. I never beat the game, but once as I got better at gaming, um, I eventually beat the game. I beat both of the games. I went on to the Pokemon League. I took down Gary because he was the champion. Well, he was one of the. I think he was the champion Pokemon Blue, or was it Lance who had the Dragon types? I don't really remember. I know Gary was one of the rivals in the game that you had to, constantly run into and battle from time to time in Pokemon Red and Blue, and also Pokemon Yellow. But those are my very first couple games that I played, and then once I moved on from the Game Boy Color, I went on to the Sega Genesis, and my very first Sega Genesis game that I ever played was Sonic 2. So I have a couple of these games I would like to show you guys. I still have them. I still have a couple Sega Genesis games. I haven't booted up my Sega Genesis in forever, so I don't know if it works still. Um, Alongside of that, I have Vector Man, Vector Man 2, and then I'm just sharing a couple. I'm not gonna show all of them. And then Road Rash 2 was another game. So those are just a couple games that I played when I first got into gaming. It's also many other Sega Genesis games that I have, but I'm just not going to show them in this video. But I just started out on a Game Boy Color, and then I went on to Sega Genesis, and then eventually I got into PlayStation. PlayStation, the first original PlayStation came out, and then I started playing games like Gex, Tomba, and then Crash Bandicoot, and many others. Those were just my most memorable games from the original PlayStation. But as I grew up, I just got so much better at gaming. I wasn't always good at video games, but like I said, I was addicted. I was addicted to it. And I already mentioned this. It eventually affected my school. My school lessons and my assignments and my progress in school. I ended up flunking the fourth grade and having to repeat it because I just played nothing but video games. I just never did my homework. I was a good student, but I just never did my homework. I just never, I always would lie about not having homework just so I could play video games, just so I could always play each and every day. And then, I put down the video games for a little bit, and then I started to focus on my schoolwork. I eventually went on to pass the fourth grade, and then I eventually moved on from elementary school to middle school and high school and so on and so forth. But video games have always been a part of my life. Those are just some of the very first ones I played. But I'm trying to think of some of the ones I finished were Pokemon Blue was one of my very first video games I ever finished. Played from start to finish. As I got good at it, I got different Pokemon, leveled them up, and whatnot. Because as you level up the Pokemon, you get stronger, and you can, as you progress on through the game, you have to face tougher opponents, tougher trainers, gym leaders, and then you go onto the Pokemon League to fight, to face the Elite Four, and then you face off against the champion, and then you beat the game. So that was just one of the first games that I ever played. I'm trying to think of some the first games I ever finished. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Another one was Crash Bandicoot Warped. I never played the first Crash Bandicoot because it was extremely hard. I had trouble with it. But I played those games later on as I got better at gaming. But Crash Bandicoot Warped was just another memorable PlayStation game, another game from my past that I grew up playing. I beat the game. I got good at it, and that's when I feel like that's when Crash Bandicoot became one of my favorite gaming characters, video game characters. I was crazy about them. I always wanted to play different Crash Bandicoot games, and I didn't have a chance to get the first one. I didn't know if I could, get through the first one. I didn't know if I could beat it because it was so hard compared to Crash Bandicoot Warped. I always felt that like that game was a lot more easier uh, because you had to save at multiple times, the checkpoints in the first game. Um, Another game, Spyro the Dragon was another game I finished with alongside of Pokemon Blue, uh, Crash Bandicoot, and then I went on to play Spyro, and that was another favorite video game character of mine. He still is, and I feel like they ruined Spyro. He's not the same anymore. The Spyro games that they came out with. I guess he's part of Skylanders now. It's dumb. I don't know. It's like a Skylanders game, and I think Spyro's in it, but he looks completely different. He's super ugly. He looks so ugly. It, I don't know. Every time I just look at him in Skylanders, it just automatically makes me itch just thinking about him. Like that's just how bad he looks. He looks terrible. But Spyro is still one of my favorite, classic video game characters growing up. Um, uh, those are just my two memorable characters. And then I started playing Gex. I don't know if you guys heard of that. I did a playthrough of Gex 3 on my channel already. Some people checked it out. Some people remember him. Um, but those are just like the three memorable games that I played. When I was getting into gaming, and from playing just those games that I just talked about. Pokemon Blue, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, a couple games from the Game Boy Color, games on the Sega Genesis. That's what really got me into gaming, and I got a PlayStation, and I started playing those games. But I went on to the PlayStation 2 came out, Jack and Daxter came out, Jack and Daxter, and Final Fantasy X was, and also Crash Wrath of Cortex was my first games that I ever had, and along with GTA San Andreas was the first games I had on PS2, and then that's when I really got into gaming heavily, I want to say, and then I started, the PlayStation 3 came out, and then I made an account on there. I didn't even have any friends at first, and then I sucked at Call of Duty, and I was always a Halo guy. I always played Halo with my friends, my best friends in real life. I would go to their house and we would play split screen, four-player multiplayer, and have fun with that. But I dropped Halo and got into Call of Duty, and that's when I got even better at gaming. So I wasn't always good at gaming, and some people always would ask me, sometimes I still get the question today, oh, how are you good? So how am I so good at Call of Duty? I'm not the best, but I dropped Halo, put in the time into Call of Duty because Call of Duty became my first my favorite first person shooter, and I liked it a little bit more than Halo, and I still do. I still like Halo. I like both of them, but I just like Call of Duty a little bit more. But I got so good just based off of just playing my friends in a free for all in a private match, and I would always win. They never beat me at all. When I was learning and still getting good at it and learning the ropes and learning how to play my favorite guns that I like to use. Uh, One of them did get close, but I ended up catching up and coming back because he was camping at the top of the rooftop in Call of Duty 4. I remember. I think it was on a crash map. Was he was camping at the top of the map, sniping with claymores, and I just kept tripping the claymores and giving him additional kills for his kill streaks. Because in Call of Duty 4 you only get a UAV, an airstrike, and a helicopter, so it's the same kill streaks for everyone. But as I continue to play with them more, I feel like I have to thank them, my two friends that I played, from middle school that I'm still friends with today. I really feel like I have to thank them because they helped me get a lot better. And as I played with them more, the more I played with them, the better I got at the game. And that's Call of Duty 4 was just, I feel like Call of Duty 4 was like my stepping stone for as to why I'm so good at the game, good at Call of Duty, and I could play at a high level for some of my videos that you guys can see. I'm not a cheater. I don't use hacks, and most people say, "Oh, he must be a hacker. He doesn't have." That's the kind of things I get from Call of Duty lobbies. But I'm not a cheater. I just I got good at the game by just playing it with friends and putting the time into it and dropping another popular first person shooter game just to get put the time into this one. But those are the games that I got. The first games that I played. Some of the games that I finished. Uh, you know completed and I wasn't really into JRPGs and I knew of Final Fantasy, but I always would watch other people play. My friends play different games and watch them play it. But the game when I got into JRPGs, the game that convinced me was this game called Cross Edge for PS3. It was given a 3 by IGN, and the shit that they said was about the game was ridiculous, and that's why I never trust IGN game reviews. But uh, they gave Cross Edge a 3, an overall score of a 3, and they said, "Oh, the game's too hard. It has it has a learning curve to it, but it's a JRPG. Like it's not going to be easy to play, right? It's a strategy game. You have to level up your characters. You have to grind. You can't. It's not a game that you have to rush through. And I feel like they don't understand that. And I feel like IGN just plays games for 5 minutes and then they just slap a score on it and then they call it a review. But that's why I never agree with them. Ever since that happened, they gave Cross Edge a 3. It's a good game, and that's how I ended up discovering Prinny. And notice I'm wearing a Prinny shirt. Uh, that's how I ended up discovering characters like him in games like Disgaea, because that's where he's from. He's originally from that JRPG game, and those are some of my favorite. That's one of my favorite JRPGs next to the Tales series. Tales of Exilia, Tales of Graces, all the Tales games. I'm into those games too. So that was just like the stepping stone for me for JRPGs. And the game wasn't very hard. It was just that the fact that you had to learn how to play. You had to know what you were doing in boss fights, and you can't rush through the game. You have to level grind because it's an RPG. It's a strategy game. You have to, you know, pick your characters wisely. It's a variety of characters you can choose from, and it has a good story. Uh, you can get a true ending. You can play the game multiple times. You get the bad ending, the normal ending, and then the true ending. You can basically play the game like 3 times to get the different, the different trophies and see how it turns out. It has a good story. It's silly. Prinny's funny in it, and the characters have personality. You begin to care for the characters, and that's what got me into the game too. Is the gameplay. The difficulty wasn't really much of a problem in my opinion because I got through the game. It was just the fact that uh, you have to level grind. You have to know what you're doing. You can't rush through the game. So I don't know why they rated it the way they did, but if you haven't heard of the game, I would recommend it for anyone out there that's into Japanese RPGs or any sort of RPG games with turn-based elements and stuff. But those are just the kind of games I'm into. I'm now, you know, as a gamer today, I'm into all types of games, of all genres, except for sports. I've never been much of a sports player, a sports gamer. Madden. I know Madden's coming out. I think Madden's coming out this week, or I think it already probably just came out. I don't know. But games like Madden, NBA 2K, NBA Live, FIFA. I'm not into those games. I know those games are good. It's like a specific. It's good for those players. Those players who love those sports games. It's 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 like a niche audience for those who are into sports. People watching on TV. I don't even watch much sports on TV now. I'm not. Not only do I not play the sports games too much, but I don't watch sports on TV that much. The only time I really watch is during the playoffs or maybe like the championship, the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals. Basically, during those times, that's the only time I really watch, the sports, faithfully, from time to time. But nowadays, I just don't watch it. Not being a sports gamer and not really being much into sports. As a surprise it might sound, most people, most people would say, "Oh, you look like a person that would be, into sports," but I'm not. I've never been much of it. I'm just a gamer. I'm not really into sports and all that stuff. So that's just how I spend most of my time, and that's just the kind of gamer I am. I play all games of different genres except those, except sports and maybe puzzles. Uh, not too many puzzles, and then not too many sports. But those are just that's just me as a gamer. How I became a gamer. But as a gamer today, I'm just into video games. I love video games with a passion. You know, that's why I'm here on YouTube. But not only that, but I just was inspired to make these videos. And I started out on those games, the games that I showed earlier in the video and talked about. Those are the games I played. Those are the games that got me into it. Some of my favorite video game characters, you know, the consoles, and I played all three. I never was always, you know, pro PlayStation. I had a 360, but I don't have it anymore. The only games I really played on it was Halo, Gears of War. Uh, I think I borrowed Blue Dragon from someone, but you know I eventually traded my 360 in, so I don't have it anymore. And then I think I had that garbage ass Sonic the Hedgehog game that I thought was gonna be good. It had good graphics, but it was buggy. It was so buggy. It's the worst Sonic game in history. I would say that most, and some people might say Sonic Boom is the worst. I would say Sonic Boom. I would rather play Sonic Boom than Sonic '06. That's just me. Sonic '06 is just buggy. It sucks. It's horrible. And Sonic's too fast for himself. uh, but that's just me as a gamer. I just wanted to talk about that kind of stuff in this video, share my little gaming experience from the very first games that I started on, a couple of games that you know, games that got me into video games as a whole, being a gamer today. And you guys are welcome to share your comments and thoughts about what was your favorite video games that you played, your favorite video game characters. Did anybody out there play a Game Boy Color? Did anybody still have one? Does anyone still have a Game Boy Color that they still play? Games like Mario, Super Mario Bros, Pokemon Go, all sorts of different Game Boy Color games that they have out there. Um, just you guys can just comment your thoughts and whatnot, anything. But I just wanted to share that the gaming stuff for this gaming vlog with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I probably went long. Let me see. I went like 22 minutes, longer than my video from yesterday. Well, not yesterday, but from my gaming teas. But I wanted to share that with you as a gamer. I'm just always going to be a gamer, and I'm just I'm into video games. I'm in this with a passion. I'm dedicated, and yeah. So thank you guys for watching. Comment your thoughts on your gaming stories and how you got into gaming, and your favorite games that you grew up with, first games that you ever played, and all that stuff. So all that stuff is welcome in the comments. And before I end the video, one thing I noticed is I just haven't been getting notifications for new comments on my videos. And then sometimes when I go back to check for comments on my videos, they appear and it say like a comment from someone, Felicia Fables, out there comment on my video from on my gaming tees video, and then it said it was posted 6 hours ago, and then I was just like, wait a minute, I constantly checked my YouTube email and it never told me and notified me of any new comments, and then now all of a sudden I have a comment here, and then someone commented on the Watch Dogs videos from a while back, a long time ago when I did my Watch Dogs playthrough. It said it was from 3 days ago, and I never got the notification. I always check my my YouTube email daily, and for some reason it's just bugged out to the point where I didn't even see it. So um, I don't know what's going on. I think it's like a YouTube bug. I don't know what they changed. I hate the Google Plus implementation that they put on here. The comments weren't bugged. It was more comments before Google Plus came around, but I don't know. I think it's annoying. But I don't understand why it's just being buggy. Some of the comments are bugged, and it's not that I'm ignoring the comments. It's just that the fact that I'm not seeing them. They're not appearing. Some of them they come. Some of them come, on time, immediately, especially the replies. If I reply back, respond to the comments, the replies show up faster than the newer comments itself for some reason. But I don't know. But I'll just be checking out, comments to make sure, double checking to make sure on the recent videos that I didn't miss any sort of comments. But I'm gonna also check on here, hopefully, for any bugs. So that's it. I just wanted to mention that. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I'll have another gaming vlog. Just try to stay consistent while I wait, for the repairs and stuff. So I haven't heard anything, no updates yet. So I guess it's still being repaired, and they might have other stuff going on with other customers. So I'm still just trying to remain patient. So in the meantime, I'm just doing these type of videos and gaming vlogs and trying to have different ideas just to try to be unique. So different and try different, things. So thank you guys for watching, and peace out.